There are some crimes so audacious they seem almost impossible to pull off. And then there's the theft of the world's most famous diamond. That is not just impossible, it is also completely made up. In this corner of the internet, we bring you true stories from the world of art and antiques. And today we are going to bring you the unbelievable true story behind the world's most famous diamond heist. The year was 1948 and the place was Paris, France. The era was right after World War II, when Europe was still suffering from food and supply shortages. But in the city of love, a new era was dawning. The French capital was becoming a fashion hub once again, and people were slowly coming out of their homes to enjoy the finer things in life. Enter the perfect accessory for any party or special event, a glittering diamond necklace. It belonged to a French socialite by the name of René Peretti. It was designed by the famous jeweler Pierre Cartier. It consisted of 6 pear-shaped diamonds that were held together by platinum chains and was worth around $2 million at the time. Today, its value would be close to $7 million. Renee had purchased the necklace just a few weeks prior to an event to raise money for her favorite charity. She wore the necklace to a party, but little did she know it was the last time she would ever see it. At the party, Renee met a man who introduced himself as a countess. He was tall, handsome, and charming. Everything about him screamed wealth and sophistication. There was just one problem. He was really a notorious jewel thief named Joseph Gans. He had already successfully robbed 2 banks and a jewelry store in Belgium. And now he had his sights set on Renee's necklace. While chatting with her new acquaintance, Renee never suspected that the man she was talking to was looking for an opportunity to snatch her diamonds. But unfortunately, she left that window open quite literally. While conversing with Count Maurice, Renee got up to go to the washroom. When she stepped away, a lookout outside the room signaled to her gang of accomplices waiting outside. In less than a minute, the men had smashed the glass display case where Renee had placed the necklace and were running away with the loot. The men split up after grabbing the necklace. Some took the train to Brussels while others flew to Paris. Once there, they threw the loot into a nearby river, hoping to retrieve it later. Sadly for them, the water was very deep and they were unable to get the case back. They tried to return to Brussels, but all the trains were sold out. So they booked passage on a ship bound for Lisbon instead. Upon arrival, they checked into a hotel and waited for the waters to recede. After a few days, the police finally recovered the case from the river. Meanwhile, our would-be heroes were having second thoughts about their getaway. They knew they would never be able to sell the necklace because it was insured and the authorities would be looking for it. They decided to return to Brussels and try to sell the stones individually instead. But here's the thing. The men didn't realize that the diamonds were some of the biggest in the world. They had no idea they would be too hot to handle. And that's because these weren't just any diamonds. They were actually the French crown jewels, which had been taken from India in the 1800s during the colonial era. Since they were owned by the government, every jeweler in the country knew exactly what they looked like. As soon as they started peddling the stones, people started asking questions. And eventually word reached the police. Meanwhile, Renee Peretti had no idea that her diamonds were still in the country. She assumed they were long gone, never to be seen again. So she was shocked when she saw the news reports of the arrests. But even though the police had caught the culprits, they couldn't give her the diamonds back. It wasn't because they were being difficult. It was because the French government claimed ownership of the stones. This devastated Renee, who thought that she had lost the diamonds forever. In reality, however, the stones were just changing hands. You see, the French government had plans to use the diamonds to pay off a debt. They wanted to sell the stones to an Indian Maharaja who could then pay them back in installments. However, this transaction fell through when the Maharaja found out that the stones were stolen. But luckily for Renee, another buyer came along. The man who bought the jewels was none other than French billionaire and perfume magnate Francois Pinault. He had caught wind of the Maharaja's deal and jumped at the chance to buy the stones for himself. Mr. Pinault was already a well-known collector of art and antiquities, so no one was surprised when he snapped up the diamonds. What was surprising, however, was that he immediately handed the stones over to Renee, saying that he was returning her property. But why would he do such a thing? Well, the truth is that Renee had no idea that the stones had changed hands multiple times. She still believed that the diamonds were lost forever. So when Mr. Pawnload offered to return them to her, she accepted. Little did she know she had just gotten the ultimate bait. You see, the real owner of the diamonds was none other than the French government. And they were furious when they heard that Mr. Pawnload had given the stones to Renee. The government threatened to arrest the billionaire if he didn't hand the diamonds over immediately. But Mr. Pawnload refused, claiming that Renee had bought the stones from him. He also said that he had no idea that they were stolen, which was probably true. This led to a lengthy legal battle between Mr. Pawnload and the French government. Eventually, the government won and the billionaire was forced to give up the diamonds. But before that, he managed to snap a picture of the stones. And when he showed it to Renee, she was shocked. She had no idea that she was holding on to the French crown jewels. To say that Renee was devastated is an understatement. She loved those diamonds and couldn't bear the thought of never seeing them again. So she did something crazy. She put on the necklace and vowed to never take it off until the stones were returned to her. And you know what? She actually pulled it off. For the next 5 years, Renee went everywhere wearing the necklace. She slept in it, showered with it on, and even went to parties and events wearing it. It was only after 5 long years that the French government finally agreed to return the necklace to her. Apparently, they wanted to make an example out of her by humiliating her in public. But it didn't really work because Renee was already a celebrity by then. Everyone wanted to get a glimpse of the woman who had stolen the French crown jewels. She became a regular at fancy parties and events and even appeared in newspapers and magazines. Eventually, the French government gave up on getting the stones back. They realized that Renee was never going to part with them, so they simply legalized the theft. Today, the diamonds known as the crown jewels of India are owned by Renee Paredes' family. They are insured for over $1 billion and are one of the most valuable diamond necklaces in the world. And that, my friends, is the incredible true story behind the world's most famous diamond heist. Let us know in the comments below if you would have pulled off such a heist yourself. We certainly would. Thanks for watching and see you next time.